derelict, derelict. All my friends, they wish me dead, they wish me dead. Every day is filled with dread, filled with dread. All my life been a derelict. I've got the time swallowing me, falling into everything that I do, everything I kiss or feel so typical. I've got the time swallowing me, falling into everything that I do, everything I kiss or feel so typical. My life been a derelict, never change, yeah, I swear to it. And of all the times I've been down and out, this time was different, I welcomed it. Every day that I fail to quit, I wind up here in the state I'm in. The heavy weight, cause it's bound to break, I need a break, the skin I'm in. Tip of my tongue tastes like battery acid. Try to push forward, I cannot push past it. Feel the blood on my tongue, it tastes metallic. Another day passes, I don't break the habit. I've got the time swallowing me, falling into everything that I do, everything I kiss or feel so typical. I've got the time swallowing me, falling into everything that I do, everything I kiss or feel so typical. So typical. I've got the time swallowing me, falling into everything that I do, everything I kiss or feel so typical. I've got the time swallowing me, falling into everything that I do, everything I kiss or feel so typical. There's been plenty of moments that I fell in hard times. More often than not, getting faded was my lifeline. I realized that I've always struggled with change, but sometimes you gotta rearrange before you go insane. I've been doing my best to stay true to myself, put my next foot forward and smoking dope for my health. I never give up the music till I'm rolling in wealth. Some days I swear this basement's my own personal hell. Well, I love the sound of the city. Goddamn, I love the sound of the city. Yeah, yeah. I'm wide awake when you're with me. I feel better when you got my back, yeah. Red eyes, I'm sky high. I think this might be the best night that I've ever had, that I've ever spent with you. I confess I'm obsessed with the sex. Heart palpitations every time that she texts. I admit that we ain't always been the best for each other, but what is love without the little test? Girl, you know you're my sneaky link. When I'm with you, my ego shrink. I'm just craving time for us alone. I think about you every time I'm home smoking dope. I love the sound of the city. Goddamn, I love the sound of the city. Yeah, yeah. I'm wide awake when you're with me. I feel better when you got my back, yeah. Red eyes, I'm sky high. I think this might be the best night that I've ever had, that I've ever spent with you.
What's up, everybody? Long time no see. It's been like a week since I've streamed. Went out of town on a ski trip. It was great. We hit everything on the mountain. Stayed in Breckenridge, Colorado. It was awesome. There was like 2 runs, and I wouldn't say I'm a professional skier or an expert by any means, but I can do most of everything. Yeah, there was like 1 run on the last day, and of course it had to be the last run of the last day. And I looked down and I was like, come on, man. It was one of those trails that like there's boulders and trees like sticking out of the snow, you know, all the bushes and everything if you're a skier. And I was like, we really have to do this on the last run. Thankfully didn't get hurt. And it was all icy too. There wasn't that much snow on that side of the mountain. But overall, really good to get a little bit of a refresher or break. One of the big things I can give you guys, it's always good to take a break. Take your mind off charts, stop stressing, you know, and then come back. You'll be stronger, refreshed, you know, everything will look good. Sometimes it's good because you might see something that you didn't if you look every single day. So let's get into it. What's up, Yasser? How's it going? I'm doing really good, man. I back into training. I thought I was going to tear my LCL, and during like the last 2 weeks I've taken off, it's healed. So really thankful there, getting stronger. So really thankful for that. What's up, Niels? How you doing? Right. SPX. Start off. I mean, are you surprised? Like, are you surprised? If you've been following me forever, I mean, I don't want to say I called the bottom, but level after level, we've said, if we break this, this. If we break that, this. If we break this, that. We broke this, bang, retest, all the way full send. Why? Here are your reasons why. Right, I know that there are several people out there that think, you know, something like that's going to happen. I can't see why. Personally, you know, we're expecting rate reductions in the future. We're expecting, you know, all this wealth, whether it be the wealth transfer from older to the younger generation, whether it be all the sideline capital, no matter what it is. Right, we're expecting money to flow into the markets. Just on my side, on the professional finance side, I know a lot of funds are actually negative or underinvested right now. I saw a YouTube video that said like insiders are selling the most they've ever sold before. I don't know how much I believe that because every fund I know is underinvested or underinvested. Good on my side. I got a way to work. Yeah. Are you in Australia yet? No, you said you're going over to Australia. But, you know, I'm not surprised. Earlier this morning in the private analysis, I had mentioned, hey, maybe we go sideways and up. Maybe we retest and up. Or maybe we just go up. Either way, the direction's up. I don't really trade the S&P 500 like I trade Bitcoin. Ultimately, this is like a macro play. So, like, if we break all-time highs here, what do you think is going to happen next, right? Tech stocks, risk assets, everything else is going to follow. Whether that be, and no, I don't think Bitcoin's going to break all-time highs next week or next month. I think 6-7 months from now, very likely. Maybe 8 months. I still think we need a correction in crypto. I think it's overdue, but we'll have to wait until we get there. DXY. So this is huge. DXY is rejecting resistance. SPX is obviously going up. What does this mean for Bitcoin? So if you guys don't know, the DXY is, I know this is going to be an infinity sign, but just take it for what it is inversely correlated to SPX and to Bitcoin. That's mostly what we talk about on this channel. So I'm just going to go there. You could say crypto overall. You could say, you know, stocks overall, whatever. Inversely correlated. So when the DXY goes up, all of these things go down. When the DXY goes down, all these things should really go up. Now, depending, right? Bitcoin's obviously gone up the last several different weeks with DXY kind of ranging. So, excuse me, I have an alarm. Okay, back to my point. DXY is ranging, come back down, could do a lot of this, ultimately make a bear flag breakdown. On that breakdown, that's where I think that crypto really moves forward. Until then, really just expecting this to reject, head back down. Really good for equities. Again, I don't think crypto is there yet. I think crypto is lagging. And I think at some point, We will see Bitcoin break all-time highs, start moving, start that bull run, but I don't think that point is now. Sydney, Australia, man, that's sweet. I've heard it's very expensive there. Let's take a look at total. Total's back in resistance. I want to look at the daily real quick. So the daily does not really look like a head and shoulders. I will admit that. But Bitcoin does. Now, there's always a chance Bitcoin invalidates its head and shoulders. And we'll get into those reasons why. But for now, the weekly, back in resistance. If we break, great. I still have my doubts, right? And for that reason being, just look at Bollinger Bands. Look at the distance on look at the distance on Bollinger Bands, right? If we retest, let's say this level here, 1.3 trillion. What are we retesting? We'd be retesting this weekly golden cross. So, or the weekly golden cross that is likely going to happen. And one other thing, usually when these golden crosses happen, like the day or the week they happen, you actually see inverted move because this is a delayed indicator. So you'll see that move down, although this golden cross is here, we'll retest this area and then full send it upwards. So if I'm not really a betting kind of person. I don't really like to gamble, but if I was a betting man, seeing all of the indicators that suggest correction, right? I would bet that we correct here. We correct with our moving averages. We also are looking at about a 30% decline. For those of you that haven't been in this market very long, every pump for the last 5 years that's been over 70% has seen a 25 to 30% decline. Every single one. So in my opinion, we just had a 100% move. Do we get that 30% move downwards? And where would it make sense? And it makes sense because you're retesting a former area of resistance as support, which is still, again, higher time frame bullish. So ultimately, overextended on the weekly, and I want you guys to get this in your head, right? When I'm telling you that the 1 day is bearish, that does not mean I think Bitcoin's going to 15K. That does not mean that I'm saying we're going to put in lower lows. What I'm saying is on the weekly, that is clearly overextended, we are likely going to pull back and continue some macro uptrend in the future. I'm not saying that, I'm overall bearish. I know some people are confused when you use the term bullish and bearish. I'm specifically referring to that time frame. Rent super expensive, but from the other side you get US dollar, you won't feel like it. Oh yeah, that's very true. Dang, the conversion rate's crazy. Crazy conversion rate. But yeah, let's move on. Tether. So Tether, and the opposite works for Tether, right? Obviously, Tether is inversely correlated to Bitcoin, inversely correlated to crypto. When Tether goes down, crypto goes up, vice versa. So in my opinion, look at the Bollinger Bands. Let's take a look at moving averages. Look at your moving averages. Where do you think that we retest? Would a retest not be here? Maybe we bounce around, come back up. That correction, happens on Bitcoin here. Now I know that's very drawn out, and it's not going to be here. I don't use the time scale down here, partially because I like to spread things out just so it's easier to read. So take a look at this. What if we get a double bottom here, head back upwards, completely reject, and head lower, right? Or maybe what if we go slightly higher, right? It still makes sense to retest at that area, just like it does with total. What I'm trying to show you is confluence, right? When you have confluence between multiple different charts, generally that move plays out. There was no 25 to 30% correction when we pumped from 15K to 31K. Actually, you're wrong. There was. When we pumped to 31,000, we actually corrected 22%. And this move right here is not a 100% move. It's a 30% move. When we pumped from 15 all the way to 30, right, that is a 100% move. We saw a 20% move downwards. So that notion that you're saying we didn't get that correction, it still happened. We still had a correction. So I don't know what you're getting at. So again, back to Bitcoin. We've talked about the Bollinger Bands. We've talked about Tether. So looking at Bitcoin daily, for any of you, I told the Patreon people to watch this. live stream. I was going to cover some of their questions. So if you're not part of that, you get the added benefit that I'm covering that. Okay, a couple things. Talked about this morning. What is the key to price action and forecasting? So if you don't know, price action is a forecasting method. What you do is you look at what the current price action is and what is going to happen after that. So if you have bearish price action with price moving up, volume moving down, right? So if you have those two things, the next move should be bearish. Now, a lot of you are going to say, but we keep pumping. Guys, we're trading between support and resistance. When we hit resistance, that next move should be down given the price action. You don't have anything that validates a breakout. You don't have any sort of bullish price action. So when we hit this resistance, we should go down. Now, what does that look like when we start moving down? Would you look at that? It looks like a head and shoulders completely on the daily time frame, given that price action completely validates that pattern. No, we have not had a 20% correction so far. We've been ranging between a support and resistance. This is a deviated point. Again, also, just to prove my point further, is this is where you'll see the correction to clear things up. We did have a correction. Back when we hit 31K, we moved sideways, right? We corrected, what is this, 22%? We corrected again. What is this, 22% again? Almost 23% with moving sideways. So this is your correction. This is not correction. We're also overextended on the weekly. We're overextended moving averages. We have overextended moving averages. On top of that, you just go to the daily and look at price action. It's not there. You don't have the price action to continue moving forward. You have to have some type of, we're not in. And I'd say the argument for not having correction and continuing forward, the only way you can have that is if we're in a bull market. We just have continuous money flow into the market, where I'd say in a bull market, your indicators don't matter. I'd say it doesn't matter how overextended you are. But in this case, we're not in a bull market. We just saw 100% move upwards. We don't have any correction. 49.1 to 38.5 is a correction. No, it's not. No, it's not, because your indicators haven't corrected at all. Look at your weekly RSI. This is not corrected at all. Look at your, and not just to mention again, you're looking at two different price points. That is not correction. A 3-week span like this is not correction. Again, you look at your moving averages, you look at your Bollinger Bands, none of those have corrected. None of those have started to come back down to form volatility. None of these prior moving averages that acted as, looking like they're acting as support here, they have not been retested at all. So a retest again, now you have that correction. Now you have your RSI making those bullish divergences, getting that full correction back to the mean. That is a correction. A 2-week long dump with an immediate move up, that is not correction. Now, what I will say, if we continue moving sideways for several different months, so if we continue to do this, that is correction. That gives us our RSI back to the middle point. That again brings MACD back to the middle point. That brings a price closer to its mean, which are the moving averages. For those of you who don't know, moving averages are literally just the average of price over time, or where price should be. And when you get overextended, you think of overextension. Look where your moving averages are. Look how high your price is. Yeah, and that's not like, I'm not trying to be rude at all. I'm just trying to say, like, I get what you're saying. You're saying, oh, price has moved down. That's not correction. Price moving down, and I'll give you a really good example of that, but during the bear market. So I'm going to move these. We'll turn this on. Take a look at this. So this drop, we dropped, what is this, like 30, 40%? 50%. So we dropped 50% downwards. Over the next 3 weeks, we corrected 41%. So you could say, oh man, 41% correction. Now we can move down. No, you can't. And that reason being, look how far our Bollinger Bands are apart from each other during this period. You have to bring these back together so you can make that volatility to send this lower. So that's why you get the what is this, like 10 weeks in here, 20 weeks in here? How many weeks is this? 12 weeks. That's why you get 12 weeks of ultimately sideways movement. So getting those sideways movement, and a lot of people, again, thought this was a breakout. Look at this. Look at our Bollinger, and I'm not a huge proponent of Bollinger Bands, but if you talk about a downtrend, all you're doing is retesting that band to continue lower. That's all we did. So correction to me is saying, hey, our RSI has corrected our daily, and look at daily RSI at this point. So we went down 50% very, very quickly. See, you're starting to enter that some sort of, or did we enter that? Oh no, here it is. Sorry. I keep thinking I'm looking at the weekly. You're entering that kind of oversold territory where you have to have a large movement upwards to continue sideways to move down. This is correction to continue that downtrend. What I'm talking about is when you look at this daily kind of correction, in the grand scheme of things, we are still in an uptrend if we do this correction. We are massively overextended here. That's kind of what I'm leaning at. Hopefully that makes sense. What's your advice for someone that owns a lot of Bitcoin on average? So, okay, first things first, I can't give you financial advice. I think that you need to establish if you're satisfied with your profit, or you need to establish, is this a long-term holding? If it's a long-term holding, then don't touch it. If you're satisfied with your profit, then take it and move on to the next trade. What time frame do you think Bollinger Bands works best? The daily and the 1 week? I remember the hate you got for saying the Bitcoin would crash from that pattern. I know, and I never got praise for it. Like, the only people that gave me praise are the people that kind of followed, in Discord and were Patreons ultimately. So thank you for the praise. Yeah, I had said that this is a giant bear flag, and look what happened. So pretty crazy move on Bitcoin's part. But thank you. In 2020, Bitcoin went from 5K to 64K without testing lower Bollinger Band on the weekly. It was in a bull market. Not sure if we're there yet. So, okay, we're not in a bull market until we break all-time highs. Second, when Bitcoin went all the way down to 3K, so that was a black swan event. If you take the average and say 6K, right, we did have periods of sideways movement. We had multiple, almost 100-day periods of sideways movement before even breaking all-time highs. So this idea, again, that we didn't get any correction. And I'm not talking about, like, testing the lower band. I don't think, testing the lower band means anything. For me, it's more of, are we getting these huge areas of sideways, compression so price can push up or down? I mean, here's 33 days. Here's 30 days again. You're looking at a month or 2 months of correction. And when we essentially went all the way up, again, here is a significant period of correction where you see 30 days of down or sideways before kind of capping off the last move in that kind of bull run. So I'm with you. I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is we have to bring some of these indicators back to the mean so we can continue higher. Yeah, that I would agree with you, Steve. Way different scenario. I do think we'll start printing again. It's just a matter of time at this point. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to go over that. So for any of you that are in my private analysis, here's where I'm answering your question. Okay, so I got asked, are we taking a short yet? And for any of you that aren't a part of it, you're in luck today. Normally, I don't share trade setups. I don't share trading ideas. It has nothing of me being greedy. It has everything to do with, in my Discord, I can alert you. I can, we've been talking about this trade setup for weeks. Everyone is seasoned in it. Everyone's ready. A lot of people on Twitter, they open up their phone, and if I post a trade setup, they go, oh, wow, Roman's right most of the time when I get on. I'm going to take the trade. They don't know where my stop loss is. They don't know where my invalidation point is. They don't, you just have to remember let's say a couple hours from now, I'm looking, I'm like, maybe it's going to invalidate, and I'll cut the short, or I'll cut half the position, or maybe I'll add more to that position. There's way too many technicals for that trade setup. So for you guys today, I know I've got a lot of a lot of private analysis people. And if you're interested in the private analysis, go see the Patreon link. We do a private analysis every day, Monday through Friday, for about 30 minutes to an hour. And we do trade setups. We talk fundamentals. We talk pretty much everything. But here we go. So what am I looking for? We've discussed this. You look over here. You look at these divergences that send us all the way down. We're forming ultimately that right-handed side. So what do I want to see? There's obviously a lot of things that I'd like to see, but a good start. What if we get a double top here, similar to this side? That's where I'd look to take that short, right? Or, now we're forming what looks like bearish divergences. Now we do not have a red candle close. This is what we need to see. I'd like to see a spinning top up here. So something that looks like this where, you have maybe we wick high, right? This thing starts to coil down. Now we have those divergences actually forming. Now that's not to say we're just going to dump straight away. Now what I, again, would really like to see is that reversal pattern. So on the 4 hour, the 1 hour, whatever, you get that clean M. We got one over here. I'd like to see one over here. Now, is that for sure going to happen? Maybe it doesn't. But maybe we continue moving higher very, very choppily, right? Choppily, I just made that word up. We chop all the way higher. We continue getting those divergences. That is where I'd look to take the short, maybe putting that stop loss, maybe above 44.8, maybe into 45K. You're looking at depending on the position size, you're looking at, percent. Let's say this is the peak here. You're looking at a 1.5% risk. Now, I need to see more, but we're starting to get what I'm looking for to take the short. I think a lot of people on Twitter look at when I say, hey, get shorts ready, or hey, Bitcoin's looking to correct. They think I'm just automatically in a short, and that is not the case. I haven't been in a short in a very long time. This would be the first one in probably almost a year. Swing trade short at least. But this is what we're looking for, right? We're looking for those divergences. We've already established that the daily has bearish price action. We've already established that the weekly has bearish divergences and overall overextended on several different indicators. So getting that would be huge. Now, I know that there's a lot of people on Twitter that say, look at the 4 hour volume. That's crazy. Look at the daily. Higher time frame always trumps lower time frame in every single situation. What are my go-to indicators? Price, volume, horizontal, support and resistance. And that's really all you need. Sometimes RSI. I'll be real with you. I'm probably going to get rid of MACD soon. For me, I hardly use it. I keep it small just in case. But RSI, price and volume are my two biggest indicators. Every once in a while, pull out Bollinger Bands. Every once in a while, I'll pull out moving averages just to see if we're truly overextended. Sometimes I'll pull out Ichimoku. But again, for the most part, price and volume and patterns. Patterns are huge. If anyone that knows their patterns knows that this is looking like a head and shoulders. What do I expect to happen to Tau if Bitcoin goes down? I don't care what happens to Tau. Again, this is not a macro. I don't think Bitcoin's going to 12K. If Tau goes down a little bit. Like I bought, almost sub 100, so I'm not even worried at all. I've kind of given this scenario, maybe we do something like this. Maybe we move sideways a little bit more. Maybe we just continue sending upwards. It doesn't matter to me. This is a long-term holding. You also can't do TA on something like this. There's not enough history. So again, I know you guys are all interested in what I'm doing in my Tau position. Tau either hits $2,000 or higher and I sell, or it goes to zero and I suck up the loss. It doesn't matter to me. Ethereum chart looks constructive. Bitcoin has air below. So, okay, one thing I'll give a lot of you guys with a lot of these alts, I think as Bitcoin makes this kind of head and shoulders, Ethereum does something like this. So Bitcoin's head and shoulders. Now, I know it's not going to happen in May. It's going to happen in the next week or two, but I'm just drawing so you can see it. Bitcoin's going to top out. Ethereum's probably going to put in another high or something, and then ultimately range here and look to go higher from there. That is what I believe, because you still have the divergences on the weekly here that need to sort. Another reason I think this, Bitcoin dominance, to me, seems like it's topping out, right? I mean, could this continue higher? Sure. Bitcoin's probably going to dump. This thing's going to go up a little higher. But I think we're either going to range here for a while or we break down and we get that alt season. You know, either or are a possibility for me. You've been building a short position dollar by dollar for the last 3 weeks. So my only problem with that is we don't have an invalidation point yet, and this could still easily pump. Like, as much as I talk about this head and shoulders, as all the indicators look like they're pointing downwards, the problem is sometimes the market does what the market wants to do, and it can completely, like, you guys have to think, like, this thing could literally do this again. We've seen it happen before. It could easily happen again. You know, for a lot of you, the S&P 500 is in a bull market, right? The S&P 500 is going to take a lot of control of really every market. Am I trading alts? So not at the moment, no. And that's because, bam, what's on your screen? If this head and shoulders plays out, doesn't matter what your alts look like. That's kind of the golden rule of trading. No matter what your alts look like let's say Link has a perfect double bottom, right? Link's double bottom is so perfect, but if Bitcoin is a head and shoulders, it's going to ruin that double bottom for Link. I've in the past, I used to trade alts more in the bear market. Now I don't at all. It's literally a waste of time. You know, opening this chart up, you know, what if we get some, unfortunately this thing's already pumped. So kind of a bad example. But what I will say again, Bitcoin corrects. Link's probably going to do this and then send higher. This is what I'm talking about. These are the excuse me. These are the altcoins you want to look for, because when Bitcoin corrects, these are the ones that are going to send. The ones that are putting in highs, the ones that are, you know, looking like a larger range is forming. You know, you look at something like BNB, likely going to do the same thing. ICP going to do the same thing. Ajax, maybe, possibly. Sol, I don't know, because there's like a 10x on Sol. Fetch looks like it's bouncing. It's retesting a major prior resistance, turning into support. One question: historically, Bitcoin dominance since 2017 has been 58 and 72 before distributing capital to alts. Once the way down, could this time be possible? Possibly. For me, it's. I mean, if you think about it this way, there are more and more alt projects like created every day. There are more and more people putting money into alts, putting, you know, savings into alts, whatever it is. So alts are constantly taking liquidity from Bitcoin. So if you look at like the weekly, we've kind of more or less been in a downtrend for a long time. Right? I mean, if you think about it, this is a giant bear flag. So Bitcoin over time is probably going to continue its way down. Now, even if Bitcoin has 10% of the entire market, it's still going to be the most valuable by a landslide. It's just other projects like Ethereum, they're going to take money from Bitcoin. They're going to take liquidity. There's going to be new projects in the market. All these AI coins are going to take liquidity from Bitcoin. So it's more or less like, I'd agree, you know, maybe we go all the way to 72%, but in my opinion, I think we see like 60-ish % and then start distributing, because that's kind of been the theme of the last several bull markets, where Ethereum and the alts are taking liquidity from Bitcoin when we ultimately start that bull run. What do I think about Total 3? I think it's lagging. There's really not much to say there because Bitcoin's likely correcting. All right, guys. I think I'm going to end it there. We'll stream. I don't think I'm going to be streaming Friday. I'm going to be outside. It's starting to warm up again. My dad wanted to go fishing. For all of you interested, I do a private analysis every single day, Monday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern. It is posted to Patreon right after I finish. So if you can't watch it at 9:30 Eastern, you know, you can watch it right after it's post. I answer questions. I post trade setups. I post educational content. It's really anything and everything you need to learn. You know, I talk about my indicators. So, for example, today on Bitcoin, we talked about price action in the analysis how price action works. That it's a forecasting technique, that it confirms and validates and invalidates certain patterns or certain levels. So if you're interested in that, go look at the Patreon link below. We've been following this head and shoulders, so you can follow that with us. So that said, guys, thanks for watching again today. I live stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday around 3, 4, 5 p.m. Eastern, just depends. With all that said,